Hello again, Mr. Smith here on a Sunday night, getting you ready for Unit 6, Lesson 2, Writing Linear Function Rules. Now, the nice thing about this lesson is it's mostly stuff you've already done before. We are going to be looking at this through the lens of using function notation to do stuff we already know how to do. So I'm not going to read a lot of this, but I will kind of try to summarize. Essentially, we've been learning function notation, and we've learned things like, what is f of x, what is g of x. These are two separate functions. What I think one thing you should know, if you don't know it already, is that when they give you information like, let's say, f of 6 equals 4, f of negative 2 equals 5, and so on, what they're really giving you are points. Remember that inside this is f of x. So x is negative 6. In the second highlight, x is negative 2. And then x is, in the g function, x is negative 5. X is 14 in the g function. And the other pieces there are just y values. So when x is 6, y is 4 in the f function. In the f function, when x is negative 2, y is 5. In the g function, when x is negative 5, y is 6. And in the g function, when x is 14, y is 3. What this boils down to for us is that these are just ordered pairs. 6, 4 and negative 2, 5 kind of belong to f. And negative 5, 6 and 14, 3 kind of belong to g. So we're asking you to find the functions f and g of x. Well, haven't we been doing very well at, if we know 2 points on a line, we can certainly come up with their equation. So what we're going to do here is we're going to just say, well, on f, for f of x, right, I've got, let me erase that. I'm just going to write f. So for the function f, we have, I can do point slope, right? I've got a slope of 5 minus 4 is 1, right? That's the difference in y. The difference in x, negative 2 minus 6 is negative 8. Don't I have point slope form here, right? I can do a point on f, which is 6, 4, and a slope of negative 1/8. So I can say that y minus 4 equals negative 1/8 x minus 6. And remember, y is synonymous with f, or f of x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this as a function by saying y, which is f of x. I'm going to add the 4 to the other side mentally. So let's do this. I have negative 1/8 x. I'm distributing. Negative 1/8 times 6. Negative 6/8. I'm sorry, positive 6/8. Positive 3/4 plus the 4 that I said I was going to add over. And that is 19/4. I could do a better job of writing that. Let me do this. Plus 19/4. G of x will do the same thing with these other 2 points that are over to my right here. These guys right here. So g of x, for g, I have a slope of 3 minus 6 is negative 3. 14 minus negative 5 is 19. That's negative 3/19. Kind of yuck, right? I'm actually going to use the 14 and the 3. I just like positive numbers. You can use either point. So we can say y minus 3 equals negative 3/19 x minus 14. And again, remember, y is the same as g of x. So I can say g of x equals, I'm going to distribute, negative 3x over, excuse me, I don't like that. Negative 3/19 x plus 42 over 19 plus 3. Now that's 99 over 19. Okay, a little bit of a hard one out of the chute here to get you going, but this is, you've already done this. You just haven't been using function notation. You know how to find the equation of a line if you're given 2 points. All right, so instead of saying y equals negative 1/8 plus 19/4, you say f of x equals, and so on. Okay, so now for letter B, find the x and y intercepts. Let's start with f. Do you remember that for x intercepts, you just let y equal 0, and for y intercepts, you let x equal 0. Let me put that off to the side. I don't really need that in the problem. So for f of x, let's do, I've got my function right above it. Let's do the x-intercept first. We're going to let y equal 0, or in other words, f of x equals 0. And just solve this for x. I'm going to subtract 19/4. And couldn't I multiply by 8, or negative 8? That's going to be positive 38 when I do that. The 8 will cancel the 4 to give me a 2. 2 times 19 is 38. So my x-intercept is 38, 0. Kind of weird. My y-intercept, I always like finding y-intercepts because they're just easier to deal with. The y-intercept, I'm going to let x equal 0. So that's going to be, where's my function? F of x equals negative 1/8 times 0 plus 19/4. That just zeroes out, right? That's just 19/4. So y equals 19/4. So I have 0, comma 19/4. If I were graphing this, I could graph it by intercepts. I would never do that, but you have the x and y intercept now. That's just for f of x. They also want us to find the same deal for g of x. Would be nice if I gave you some room to do this. For g of x, let's do 0 equals negative 3/19 x plus 99 over 19. It's actually not as bad as it looks. I subtract over 99 over 19. And if I multiply by 19/3, you're going to find that the 19s will cancel. And I get negative 99 over negative 3. I should get 33 for x. So my x-intercept is 33, 0. That's my x-intercept. My y-intercept is going to be just what I get when I plug in 0 for x. So my y value, g of x, equals negative 3/19 times 0 plus 99 over 19. That zeroes out, and y equals 99 over 19. X is 0, y is 99 over 19. Done. This one's easy. Find where f of x equals negative 3. That literally means, see, this lesson is good because it's just telling you some of the kind of problems you'll see in the future, right? Or in the present, I guess. But they're saying find where f of x equals negative 3. Well, let's replace f of x with negative 3. What do we get? Negative 3 equals negative 1/8 x plus 19/4. Should I multiply by 8? I'm going to do it. I'm going to multiply both sides by 8, clear out the fractions. Might need you to check my math here, but I think I'm okay right now. Darn it. 8. See, I made a mistake. It's negative x, isn't it? Negative x. See, I caught it, though. I caught it. All right, negative x. Multiplied everything by negative 8. So if I subtract over 38, I get negative 62 equals negative x, and x equals 62. Students in my period 8 class pointed out the other day, it's not a well-worded, not a well-worded question, because what does it mean, find where? What that means is find the x value where. So I'm going to write that in. Find the x value where. There's a lot of words missing from that, and you'll see it in part D also. And they just want an x value. They don't want a y value, right? So find where. So now letter D says find where 1/2 of f of x. So I'm going to take 1/2 of f of x, which is 1/2 of negative 1/8 x plus 19/4. I remember doing this one the other day. It's a little messy. Equals negative g of x. So negative of negative 3/19 x plus 99 over 19. Well, let's just distribute. Negative 1/16 x plus 19/8. I'm going to distribute the negative, equals 3/19 x minus 99 over 19. This problem's a little ridiculous. We have to multiply through by, what does 16 and 19 both go into is the question. Let me see something real quick here. Yeah, I want to look something up before I continue this problem. I want to pull up my answer key and make sure that I don't want to make a mistake before I get too far with this. So let's see. 1D. That's not it. Here it is. Okay. 1/16 x plus 19. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we end up having to multiply this equation by 19 times 16, which is 304. All right, and when you do that, you get, it's a ridiculous problem, by the way. I admit that. Negative 19x plus 722 equals 48x minus 1584. And I'm going to copy that. Copy. Paste. Let's get rid of that little hook there. All right, so now we can gather our x's together. I'm going to add 19x to both sides and get 67x. I'm going to add 1584 and get, I think that's 2306. So x is 2306 over 67. Silly. Find where the graphs of f of x and g of x intersect. This one's a little bit different because if you remember when we solved equations, we're talking about where graphs intersect. Not only do I need an x, but I also need a y value. This one has a decent answer. It's not going to be a bad one. So I'm going to set literally f of x equals g of x like we did in the last unit when we did functions, systems. So negative 1/8 x plus 19 over 4 equals negative 3 over 19x plus 99 over 19. Right, that one side is f of x, the other side is g of x. Just for illustrative purposes, there's my f of x, and here is g of x, and we're just setting them equal and doing the algebra. Let's multiply through by 19 times 8, let's see, 152. Bear with me, it's going to be fine. When I multiply through, I get negative 19x plus 722 equals negative 24x plus 792. Now, if I add over 24x, I get 5x. If I subtract over 722, I get 70. So x is 14. And if I plug that into the other, into any equation, I'll go to the, I'll do the x1, f of x run, which is f of x is negative 1/8 x which is 14 plus 19/4. It turns out to be 3. This is 14 over 8 is 7 over 4. Yeah, negative 7 over 4 plus 19/4, which is 12 over 4, which is 3. So your y value is 3. The point of intersection is 14, 3. All right, so there's a similar problem here. This one looks much more reasonable. If I'd have known that, I would have started with this one. But let's see. It's just more practice for you. So there's another practice like this, and then there's a few more quickies down below. Okay, so here we go. Ready, go. All right, so here for f, we have 3, -2. We have 4, -1. So m equals -1 take away -2 is 1. 4 minus 3 is 1. My slope is 1. So I have y, I'm going to go at the top point, plus 2 equals 1 times x minus 3, or rather f of x equals x minus 3 minus 2, x minus 5. All right, g of x, let's see, g, we have 6, 3, and -9, 0. The slope is 0 minus 3 over -9 minus 6, that's 1/5. And I'm going to use the second point, y minus 0 equals 1/5 x plus 9. How about y equals 1/5 x plus 9/5? Got it. Find the x and y intercepts. So f, x-intercept, I'm going to let y equal 0. Therefore, x equals 5, and I've got 5, 0. My y-intercept, I'm going to let x equals 0, which is -5. Hang on. So I let x equals 0, and y is -5. Those are the two intercepts for f. For g, I'm going to let y equals 0 to find the x-intercept. 0 equals 1/5 x plus 9/5. -9/5 equals, not minus, equals 1/5 x. Multiply by 5, you get x equals -9. For the y-intercept, we're just going to let x equal 0. Y equals 1/5 times 0, which is 0, plus 9/5. We get 9/5 is the y-intercept. So 0, -9, and pardon me, that's wrong. -9, 0, and 9. Can't fool me. 0. I can fool myself, though. All right, so we have that and that. Those are my intercepts for G. Part C, find where g of x equals -1. Let's take that function g and replace it with -1. And then 1/5 x plus 9/5. Subtract 9/5 from both sides. Multiply by 5, and you get x equals, what is that, -14? I could write that neater, couldn't I? All right. Find where the graphs of f and g intersect. All right, so we're going to let f of x equal g of x. X minus 5 equals 1/5 x plus 9/5. My handwriting is getting messy. It's late in the night. I am getting ready for bed here. I'm going to multiply 3 by 5, so that's 5x minus 25 equals 1x plus 9. I can subtract x from both sides and get 4x. I can add 25 to both sides and get 34, so x is 34 over 4, 17 over 2. I need to know what y is, so I'm going to plug that in. I'm going to go with the f function. It's a lot easier. X minus 5, 17 halves minus 5. I think that's 7 halves. So my point of intersection, the place where the graphs intersect, is 17 halves, 7 halves. Oh, I like this one. Not too bad. Let h of x equal f of x plus g of x. Find h of -2. Well, according to what they just told us, h of x is f of x plus g of x. So shouldn't h of -2 equal f of -2 plus g of -2? So what's f of negative 2 now? Let's see. My f function is what, x minus 5? So f of negative 2 is x minus 5. That's negative 7. Plus, well, g of negative 2 is 1/5 x plus 9/5. 1/5 x plus 9/5. Negative 2/5 plus 9/5 is 7/5. And altogether, negative 7 is like negative 35 over 5 plus 7/5 should be negative 28/5. And again, I'm not happy with my handwriting. There we go. All right, so there's that. Examples on the back here. Give you a table and try to figure out what's going on here. Well, write a function rule for the linear functions. I mean, couldn't you do this if it was y equals, right? That's just pretend it's y equals, right? What's the slope? And then, you know, kind of could you figure out, and more, it's more about like just using your creativity. Yes, you can use algebra, absolutely. But like, what is the slope here? I'm going to pick these 2 points, right? My rate of change, or my change in y, is, let's go 6 minus 8, which is negative 2. And 1 minus negative 1 is 2. So my slope is negative 1. And I wonder if you can figure out, like, here's kind of like an advanced thing. Some of you may know, some of you may not know. I mean, think about this. The slope is 1, right? So every time I go up one value in x, the slope tells me what to do to the y value. So if I squeezed in the number 0, which is right between negative 1 and 1, and it's a linear function, shouldn't that just go down by 1 to be 7? You may not like that. I'm not there, but I'm getting the sense that you don't like that. Some of you will. But if you don't like it, you could just say, you could do point slope form. Anyway, you're going to get f of x equals x plus negative x plus 7. In the second one here, let's do our slope again. This change in y is negative 12 minus 7, negative 19. Oh, look at that. Negative 11 minus 8 is negative 19. M is 1. The slope is 1. And, you know, if I went forward 3 units from negative 3, shouldn't I go forward 3 units here to negative 1? Like, that's kind of like the way of doing it without using algebra. Like, you could just say this. Oh yeah, you could say f of x is the slope times x, which is 1x, and then minus 1, because that's what the y-intercept is, right? So we're trying to use some instincts to kind of figure this out, and you can always use algebra. It's always there for you. You can ask me about that in class, how to do this using algebra if you forgot or just don't know how to do it. All right, last one here in this example. Let's go y2 minus y1, that's negative 30. And then the x's, negative 1 minus 11 is negative 12. So m is negative 30 over negative 12. 10 over 4, 5 over 2, the negatives cancel. And if I go forward 1 unit from negative 1 to get to 0, that's going to move forward 2.5 to get to 0. So I get y equals 5/2 x plus 0. Oh, not y though, we're using function notation. See, I'm a victim of my own success. There we go. F of x equals 5/2 x, or 2.5x. Whatever, either one. All right. Now this one is not a linear function. This one is just for fun. Can you figure out what this example is? And one way some people might know this is like, it's related to squares. And again, it's one of these things where either you see it or you don't. I don't know if it's particularly a good quiz question, but I just wanted to like expose you to this. And the first one that popped out at me was like 5 squared. Well, 5 squared is 25. And how would I get to 26? I would just add 1. Well, the same rule kind of applies here. 12 squared is 144. How do I get to 145? Add 1. So if I know the x, I square it, I add 1. And that's what f of x equals. Okay. All right, last example. Write a function that models the situation given. Then identify what the independent variable is in each. Okay. Write a function that describes the cost to rent a widescreen TV for the Super Bowl. If it costs $20 plus $14.50 a day. So the cost depends on the time, right? How long you have the television. The longer you have the television, the more it's going to cost you, right? So cost is a function of time in days. And specifically, this is like a fixed cost, variable cost kind of thing. My cost function, which depends on t, is, if I'm doing mx plus b form, 14.5t plus 20. It's very similar to y equals mx plus b. You're now thinking in terms of other variables. All right. Write a function that describes how far you can drive going 50 miles per hour. Distance is a function of, what do you think? It's time in hours. Right? So my distance function, well, my rate is every time I go an hour or drive for an hour, I've gone 50 miles per hour, starting at 0. All right, letter C, write a function that describes, oh, by the way, let me go back and point out to you, right? C of t describes the cost. D of t describes the distance. I don't see it written in the problem, but distance. The next function is going to talk about profit as a function of the number of tickets sold. We're selling tickets for $4 each. So profit is a function of the number of tickets. So my P of t function, or my P function, which depends on t, is just my profit is 4 times the number of tickets I sell. Okay, 2 more to go. Write a function that describes the profit you make selling basketball tickets, blah, 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 blah. And you already spent $100 on advertising. So profit is still a function of the number of tickets. So profit is going to be, profit depending on time, equals the number of tickets I sell times 6, but I already plunked down $100 on tickets or advertising. So it eats into my profit. So it's 6t minus 100. And finally, write a function that describes the cost of gas if your car gets 30 miles to the gallon and gas costs $3 a gallon. All right, so let's see. Cost is a function of distance, right? However far you drive is going to tell you how much you're spending. So let's see, what is your cost, right? It's like $3 per gallon. Right, so my cost, informally, my cost is the number of gallons I buy times $3. Right, so my cost function, as a function of distance, I might say C of m, because my distance is in miles. C of m equals, let's see, $3 times 30 miles to the gallon. How many gallons per mile is that? Right, I get 1 mile. 1 gallon per 30 miles. And just simplify that. 3m over 30 is m over 10. The number of gallons that I purchase is equal to the number of miles that I travel divided by 30. Anyway, it all simplifies to m over 10. All right, so we can practice this more when I come back. I just wanted you to have some exposure to it. I know we did start it in class, and I wanted to finish it. I will put up answers to the rest. Maybe a video, maybe not. But I just wanted to get this out to you so you could at least try the problems that are attached to this. Okay, so thanks, guys and girls. I miss you a lot, and we'll see you again on Wednesday or Tuesday. Thank you, guys. See you later.